Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Micha and welcome to my chessrealm YouTube channel. So, Chess Olympiad has ended, lots of nice games were played, of course I can analyze them all, and let's go to the fourth round duel between North Macedonia and the Czech Republic on the third board, playing Nikola Nikolovski and Petr Michalik. Let's see what happened. Nikolovski started with f4 and we have bird opening. Well, we don't see that very often, and black responded with d5, knight goes to f3, g6, d3, bishop goes to g7, bishop to e2, knight to f6. Of course, normal developing moves were played, and now white castles king side, and black does the same. White plays d3, black plays black plays b6, preparing this c5 for maybe even fianchetto his bishop, and white responded with a4, threatening a5, attacking this pawn, but black doesn't care. c5 was played, and now white indeed plays a5, targeting this pawn structure on the queen side. Well, of course, black could capture, the pawn on a5 is protected, but first white would play knight to e5, preventing this knight to c6 jump, protecting this pawn, and later with bishop to d2, white easily gains the pawn back. So in the game, black plays b5, leaving this pawn on a5 intact, creating this very interesting pawn structure, and white immediately uses this weakening on the queen side. Knight to e5 was played, of course it's clearance, preparing bishop to f3, targeting this long diagonal. Black plays knight goes to e8, and now bishop indeed goes to f3. Black plays f6, attacking knight on e5. Knight doesn't have any good square, so the only square left is g4, so knight goes to g4. And now black plays knight to c6, and now white strikes this pawn chain with c4, attacking both d5 and b5 pawn. Of course, a pawn on d5 is a double attack, so black has to come up with something, and of course, if d pawn captures on c4, this knight on c6 is for free. So black has decided to play bishop captures knight on g4. White has no other option but to recapture, so black removes white's light square bishop after the long diagonal for the time being, and now b pawn captures on c4. D pawn recaptures. Of course, black has option of capturing this pawn, but if d pawn captures on c4, well, one take is bishop on a6, double attack on king and a pawn. White easily gains the pawn back, but maybe even better option would be simply bishop to f3, pinning this knight on c6. Even if queen captures, rook recaptures, rook has to go to c8, I'm pinning, but then after rook to d7, you have attack on this on the queen side pawns, and white easily gains pawn back, and with this pass a pawn, white is better. So in the game, black plays d4, hoping that maybe white will capture on d4, so that knight will be able to occupy this very strong d4 square, but white doesn't go for it. Instead, bishop to f3 was played, pinning this knight to the rook. So black plays rook goes to c8, I'm pinning, and now bishop goes to e5 check. There's no way of defending a check with the pieces, so king has to go to h8, and now white plays a very interesting move. e4 was played. Was preparing this f5 pawn push, but at the same time creating a pass pawn here on d4. White doesn't care, actually it's not very dangerous, so white doesn't have to worry about it. Black continues with knight goes to b4, preparing to eliminate this unpleasant bishop on e5. White nevertheless plays f5, and now of course knight captures on d5, e-pawn recaptures, and black, of course, one option is to play g5, blocking the position, but then this dark square bishop would be stuck here on the king side, so black plays g-pawn captures on f5. Of course, white could immediately capture pawn on f5, but white has other things in mind. Very interesting move was played. Rook goes to a3, preparing this rook to h4, attacking the king. Let's see, black makes a random move, let's say a6. After rook to h3, black is in serious trouble, because all white needs to do is to play queen to h5 here with attack on the queen, on the king. There's no good way of defending. Let's say knight goes to a6, queen to h5, and of course black cannot defend this with h6 because bishop simply captures, so the only option is maybe king goes to g8, but then white will start here attacking the black king. Very unpleasant situation, if not totally lost. So in the game, black plays knight goes to d6 immediately, creating this clearance on the e8 square. White plays rook goes to h3, and now black plays queen to e8, protecting this h5 square, so now queen cannot jump on h5. At the same time, this pawn on c4 is still under attack, so white plays knight goes to d2 defending, and now rook goes to c7 defending. The pawn on e7 and also pawn on c5 is also defended. White plays c3, sorry, b3. Black continues with rook to g8, and now knight goes to f3, preparing knight to h4, attacking this pawn on f5. And now black is on the move, and black plays a very interesting move. e5 was played, of course, threatening with the e4, creating two passed pawns here in the center, or maybe even f4 would be better option, because then white's dark square bishop would be totally immobilized. Black would definitely have the edge here, so white has no other options here but to capture this pawn on e5. So d pawn goes to e6, it's en passant. And now black is the one who has to be careful, because, for example, if black recaptures this pawn on e6 with queen, then we simply have rook captures on d4, attacking the queen. Well, black could either remove the queen or maybe capture on d4. If c-pawn captures on d4, we simply have mate in 3, rook captures on h7 check, king has no other options but to recapture, and after queen to h5 check, the only option is bishop to h6, and after queen to h6 is checkmate. But even if black would remove the queen, let's say to f7, simply we would have knight goes to e6, attacking the rook. Of course, queen cannot capture, because rook to h7 is still a valid threat. After, let's say, rook to d7, knight simply captures on c5, attacking the rook. Rook goes to c7, knight to e6 again. Let's say maybe rook goes to, I don't know, d7 again, queen to d5 again, and white is a pawn up, but this white has 3 pawns here on the queen side and much better position, so this is definitely much better for white here. So in the game, black plays bishop goes to f8, protecting this pawn here on h7. White plays knight goes to h4, preparing to capture this pawn on f5. Now black plays rook to e7, also preparing to grab this pawn on e6. And now white plays b4, preparing to undermine this defender of this unpleasant pawn on d4. Black plays rook captures on e6, and now b pawn captures on c5, attacking knight on d6. Of course, knight would capture pawn on c4 or maybe e4. Both options are playable. Black has decided to play knight goes to e4, preparing a very sneaky trick. If queen capture defenses pawn on d4, simply bishop to c5, skewering this queen. So in the game, white plays knight captures pawn on f5. And now black responded with bishop captures pawn on c5. When this pawn is gone, we have discovered attack on the king, so white plays queen to d3, interference. Now black cannot push this pawn to d4. But nevertheless, black has to be very careful, because if, for example, black plays a random move, let's say a6, we have mate in a couple of moves, rook would simply capture on h7, he has no other option but to recapture, and then queen to h3 check. After the only move, king to g6, we have queen to h6 check. King could only go to f7, but then after queen to h7 check, of course, if rook interferes, it's checkmate. And if, for example, king goes to f8, we have bishop to h6 check, and after rook to g7, the only move, queen captures, is checkmate. So in the game, black plays queen to d7, defending this pawn on h7. And now white plays rook to h4, double attack on this knight on d4. Black defends with queen to b7. Well, maybe this was not the best move, because here white could gain the edge by playing a6, attacking the queen. Of course, queen cannot capture because he has to protect this knight. After queen to c6, maybe then knight to g3 would follow. Of course, knight cannot capture on g3, because if knight is gone, then queen simply captures on h7 with checkmate. Definitely a lot of threats would happen here after this, but in the game, white doesn't play a6. In the game, rook to f3 was played, preparing this rook to h3, double attack on this pawn on h7. Black responded with knight to c3, and this could have been a fatal blunder, because now white is winning. Of course, black is thinking, okay, if you remove this rook, then queen goes to g2, it's checkmate because it's also attacked by the rook. But here white could have simply played rook captures on h7 check. Now black has two options of recapturing, either with king or with queen. Well, if queen captures here on h7, we have simply rook to h3 pinning this queen, so black has no other option but to lose the queen. But black would probably play rook to e1, a double attack on the king and the bishop after, let's say, king to f2. Rook captures, yeah, that's true, but after rook captures on h7, king recaptures. Let's say for a queen, black has two rooks and a bishop, but after queen would go to h3 check, the only option is g6. So after king to g6, queen goes to g4 check, and after king goes to f7, simply knight to h6, and we have double attack on the king and the rook. So here from now on, after, let's say, king to let's say e7, simply knight captures, and we have only a rook and one piece for a queen, and this is definitely a winning position for white. If, however, king would capture rook on h7, then simply rook to h3 check. The only option is king to g6, and after queen to g3, then king can either go to f7, but then rook immediately goes to h7, attacking the king and also gaining this queen on b7. If, however, king captures on f5, we have queen to f4 check, king to g6, queen to g4 check, king can only go to f7, and then rook to f7. When this king is gone, this queen is gone, and this again is a winning position for white. But not so fast, of course. King, let's say, if king goes to e8, of course, queen captures is a checkmate. If, however, king goes to f8, of course, if rook captures, then this rook also recaptures. So here in this position, white would have to play bishop to h6 check. And now, of course, if king goes to e8, we have checkmate. If, however, rook goes to g7, then rook to h8 check. If king goes to f7, queen to g7 checkmate. If, however, king goes to e7, queen to g7 check. Once this king is gone, white captures queen and is winning in this position. In the game, however, white doesn't find this rook to h7 spectacular rook sacrifice. In the game, knight to g3 was played. Of course, interference. White was afraid of this checkmate on g2, but this was a fatal blunder. Now black plays rook to e1, double attack on the king and the bishop. Of course, black would defend with a knight or maybe king to g2, but then white loses bishop, so white has decided to play rook to f1, implicitly defending this bishop on c1, but now black plays knight goes to e2 check. Of course, king can go to h1 because after rook captures on f1 check, knight recaptures, and queen to g2, it's checkmate. So in the game, white plays king goes to f2, and now black responds with knight to c1, attacking queen on d3. Well, queen doesn't have any good square, so white might have very well resigned here. Still in the game, queen to f5 was played. And now we have mate in 3 moves. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to find it. Black played rook to e2 check. Of course, if king goes to g1, we have queen to g2, immediate checkmate. So in the game, there followed knight captures on e2. Now queen captures on g2 check. King can only go to e1. White has decided to play all the way, so queen captured on e2, and it was checkmate. So I hope you like this game. I hope you have learned something from it. If you have any questions, my email is below in the description. Of course, I invite you to visit my Instagram page. That's it for now, and see you soon.